The colony ship Meridian's Hope had been grounded on Cathera 7 for 3 months when Lena Hart wandered beyond the perimeter fence. At 8 years old, she possessed the dangerous combination of fearlessness and curiosity that made her mother's hair turn prematurely gray. The forest beyond the settlement pulsed with bioluminescent flora, casting everything in shades of violet and amber. Lena had been warned about the predators, the Catharan apex species that the survey teams called void stalkers. They were massive, 6-limbed creatures with obsidian scales and rows of razor teeth. Adult void stalkers had already killed 2 colonists who'd strayed too far. But what Lena found in the clearing wasn't an adult. The cub lay on its side, roughly the size of Earth's mountain lion, though far more terrifying in appearance. Its breathing came in ragged gasps, and one of its 4 nostrils, arranged in a square pattern on its elongated snout, was swollen and bleeding. The creature's eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle, locked onto Lena with a mixture of pain and predatory instinct. Any sensible person would have run. Lena sat down cross-legged 3 meters away. "Hey there," she whispered. "You're hurt, aren't you?" The cub, whom she immediately named Drac in her mind, released a low rumble that might have been a growl or a whimper. Its claws, each as long as Lena's fingers, flexed against the moss-covered ground. Lena noticed the problem. A spine from a thornwood tree, nearly 10 centimeters long and barbed like ancient wire, had embedded itself deep into the cub's left nostril. The surrounding tissue had turned a sickly purple, and the smell of infection hung in the air. "That looks really bad," Lena said, inching closer. "My dad's a medic. I've seen him pull stuff out of people before." Drac's middle eye focused on her while the other 2 tracked her movements. The cub tried to stand but collapsed, too weak from pain and fever. Lena knew she should get help. She also knew that by the time she returned, Drac would likely be dead, or his mother would have found him. Either way, she sensed this was a moment that wouldn't wait. She moved closer, hands extended and empty. "I'm going to help you," she said firmly, as if speaking to the creature in standard would somehow make it understand. "But you can't bite me, okay? My mom would be really mad." Drac's breathing quickened as Lena knelt beside his head. This close, she could see the intelligence in those alien eyes, the fear mixing with something else. A desperate hope, perhaps, that this tiny being might ease the agony. Lena reached out slowly, letting her hand hover near Drac's snout. The cub flinched, but didn't snap. She placed her palm gently on the scales between his eyes, feeling the fevered heat radiating from his body. "Good boy," she whispered. "Good Drac." With her other hand, she carefully positioned her fingers around the protruding thorn. The barbs would make extraction excruciating. She'd need to pull it out in one smooth motion, angled correctly, or risk tearing the tissue even more. Lena had watched her father work. She understood that sometimes to heal, you had to hurt first. "On 3, she told Drac. 1, 2. She pulled. On 2 hard and fast, twisting slightly as the barbs cleared the nostril. Drac roared, a sound that shook leaves from nearby trees and sent a flock of native avians screaming into the sky. His claws raked the ground, gouging deep furrows in the earth centimeters from Lena's leg. But he didn't bite her. The thorn came free, covered in dark purple blood and pus. Lena threw it aside and immediately pressed her sleeve against the wound to stop the bleeding. Drac thrashed once, then went still, his breathing gradually slowing from panicked gasps to deeper, more regular breaths. "See?" Lena said, her own hands shaking now that it was over. All better. Drac's 3 eyes focused on her with newfound clarity. The fever still raged, but without the thorn, his body could begin fighting the infection. The cub lifted his head slightly and did something unexpected. He pressed his snout gently against Lena's chest, careful not to let his teeth touch her. Lena wrapped her small arms around the alien predator's neck and held on. That's how the search party found them 20 minutes later. A little human girl sitting in an alien forest, cradling the head of a creature that should have killed her, while Drac's eyes tracked each approaching colonist with protective intensity. "Lena Hart!" Her mother's voice carried equal parts terror and relief. "Get away from that thing." "His name is Drac," Lena said calmly. "And he's my friend." The colonists raised their weapons, but Commander Takeshi, leading the search party, held up his hand. He'd seen many things in 30 years of colony establishment, but he'd never seen a Void Stalker cub remain calm in the presence of humans, let alone allow itself to be touched. "Stand down," he ordered quietly. "Something's different here." As the medics carefully approached to treat Drax's infection, and as Lena's mother swept her daughter into a crushing embrace, no one noticed the massive shape watching from the deeper forest. Drax's mother had been tracking her cub, ready to slaughter any threat. But she had watched the entire encounter. She had seen the gentle hands and heard the soft words. She had witnessed mercy from a species she'd been taught to fear. The adult Void Stalker turned and disappeared into the bioluminescent forest, but not before marking the trees around the clearing with her scent, a sign to others of her kind that this place and these particular humans were under her protection. 10 years later, when the Kether and Concordat formed its first alliance with humanity, many would point to complex diplomatic negotiations and mutual defense treaties as the foundation of that peace. But those who knew the truth understood it began, simpler, with a little girl, a painful thorn, and the universal language of kindness that transcended species, fear, and 1,000 years of evolutionary programming. Drax never forgot the gentle hands that saved him, and when he grew to lead his pack, he taught his own cubs a new lesson, that sometimes the smallest beings possess the greatest courage, and mercy can be the strongest survival trait of all.